Turning back now to President Biden defending his decision to pull all U.S. troops out of Afghanistan. We're going to be joined now by Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby. John, good to see you. I guess my question to you is the president hearing the criticism from abroad, from the people on the ground in Kabul, in Afghanistan, who are going to be dealing with the void that's going to be filled with death and destruction, especially to women, as the Taliban moves in?
I think we're all mindful of the security situation on the ground, Mika, and some of the Taliban's recent advances. But we're also focused on transitioning to a new relationship with the Afghan forces. We're not walking away from that relationship with them or from the idea that we have to help them with their capacity and their capability. And we're still going to be able to do that. Nobody wants to see this devolve into a civil war. Certainly nobody wants to see the violence continue. It's already way too high. That's why the president also has made it clear two things. One, we're going to keep a diplomatic presence in Kabul. We're going to stay attached to those programs and initiatives to keep that kind of progress going for women and girls and civil governance in Afghanistan, but also that we're going to continue to put a lot of energy into the diplomatic solution to this war. We still believe there's not going to be a military solution here that's going to be sustainable for the Afghan people or for the region. You got to get the Taliban back to the table. We've got to get a negotiated settlement and a form of governance going forward that the Afghan people can believe in, and that's what we're focused on.
Admiral, it's always great to talk to you. So good to be talking to you again. So you say we've got to get the Taliban back at the table, but we've left. There's no incentive, and since we've announced that we were leaving, they have become even more aggressive across the country. What leverage does the United States, what leverage does the international community have over the Taliban to get them back to the negotiating table?
It's difficult to make the case, Joe, that our presence on the ground was the leverage to get them to the table because they still haven't been able to negotiate. Even when we had more than 2,500 troops under the Trump administration, when he inherited, there was about 10,000 on the ground. At no time during the Trump administration were they ever able to have that quote-unquote leverage to get the Taliban to negotiate in good faith. It was in fits and starts. So it's difficult to say, well, the troops are the leverage that are going to get them to the table and to make a difference. What we hope will happen is the international community pressure, because we know the Taliban, they have governance designs. There's no question about that. They've been pretty bald about that. If they want to be a respected part of the international community, if they want to help govern Afghanistan in a legitimate way, then they're going to have to succumb to international rules of order. They're going to have to negotiate in good faith and then to participate in whatever governance structure in good faith. And if that's their intention, then you would think that they would want to go to the table and negotiate a political settlement in good faith that, again, it serves the Afghan people and the region. There will be consequences for them diplomatically, economically, in the international community if, in fact, they achieve some level of governance and then don't ascribe to that sort of level of accountability.
When Barack Obama removed troops from Iraq, the overwhelming majority of Americans supported that move. Recent polls show the same to be true here. The majority of Americans support the withdrawal of troops. 62% approve, 29% disapprove. But as you know very well, as ISIS's reach grew in the region and we started seeing gruesome videos come out of that region, the United States and the Obama administration felt compelled to send troops back to the region. Aren't we at risk of the same thing here, especially if we start seeing women being brutalized, if we start seeing women being executed for going to school or for running businesses?
Yeah. One of the key reasons why the Iraqi security forces weren't able to stop the rise of ISIS is that they had succumbed to factionalism and the politicization under then Prime Minister Maliki. The Iraqi security forces, when we left in 2011, were very competent and capable in the field, but they were mismanaged and misled going forward. So this is a moment for President Ghani to make sure that the capacity and the capability that we have invested in Afghan national security and defense Defense Forces remain solid, remain steady. They have an Air Force. The Taliban does not. They have sophisticated weaponry and ammunition. The Taliban does not. They have good structure and organization. The Taliban does not. And they have bigger numbers than what we think the Taliban has on the ground. Now it's up to them to use that, to have the will. We know they love their country. We know they're brave and courageous. You've covered that yourself, Joe. You know how they can be in the field. Now it's their time to step up, and we're going to still be there to support them. But it really is going to depend on the kind of leadership that they can get out of Kabul to make sure that they can preserve that capability and capacity in the field so it doesn't go the way of Iraq.
Hey, Admiral, it's Jonathan Lemire. I wanted to focus in on a group of Afghani citizens who have helped Americans, the American military, for years now, in particular the translators there, many of whom now are very fearful of their safety in Afghanistan with the Taliban grabbing more and more territory and more power. We've heard the president say that he would, of course, work to get them out of there, but the concerns on the ground are that timetable is simply too slow, that these translators need to get out, and they need to get out now. That's what they say. Can you give us an update as to the process, the procedure to get these translators out, and is there any chance of an accelerated timetable to save these lives?
We're already on an accelerated timetable, to be honest with you, sir. And the president talked about that yesterday. The entire interagency is working at this very, very hard. The State Department is trying to work with Congress to get more special immigrant visa quotas available to them. We have a couple of thousand or so that have already reached a level of approval through the process that we're very actively looking for places that we can get them to and transportation to get them there and to sustain them as they complete the process. There's a lot of energy being applied on this. And you heard the president say just yesterday that we're going to be able to start moving some of them out of the country within the next couple of weeks or so, and certainly by August, to be able to transport them to installations overseas where they can complete this process. The other thing is, and we know, believe me, we here at the department know, we have a sacred obligation to these men and women and their families who have helped us over the last 20 years. We're going to do this as safe and as efficiently as possible. The demand signal right now doesn't seem to be at a level where where we're in a crisis mode, but we know we have to move quickly, and we're doing that.
Admiral Casey Hunt's with us and has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Admiral, I'd just like to follow up on that. If, in fact, the Taliban gets closer to Kabul, where a lot of these people live, their lives are going to be in more danger, and it could take those numbers to crisis levels. I guess my question is, why is there all this red tape? Can't the administration break through it for them?
We're working very hard at that, Casey. As you heard yesterday, we're working with Congress trying to get this program expanded and accelerated. The SIV program has a significant purpose, but it wasn't designed to work in an emergency. It wasn't designed to work at those numbers in an emergency. So but that's the process that we're using, because it's also got a lot of healthy vetting involved in it. We want to make sure that we're actually getting the right people out of the country. So we're working at this very, very hard. But again, you heard the president say that of the couple of thousand or so that have reached the level of approval where they can be moved out of the country, less than half of them have expressed an interest in moving out of the country. So again, the demand signal hasn't reached the level where we think we're in a crisis right now. That said, and I don't want to leave any impression that we aren't taking this seriously and aren't working very, very hard at finding locations where they can go, support for them while they're there, transportation to and from as well. So, I mean, this is something that the entire government is working very hard at.
All right, Admiral Kirby, thank you so much. Always good talking to you. Greatly appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nick.